Hi, a lots of you guys have been asking how do we integrate an external API with WooCommerce product and how do we sync inventory, stock, and other things with it. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate you and tell you the things that you're going to need to integrate an external API with WooCommerce product and how to sync the inventory, how to import all the variations, what are the things that you're going to need, and what are the things that you should consider while doing this. And also, not just the product itself, the product images, product variations, all the attributes of the product, then all the stock quantities of each variation. What are the things that needs to be considered? What are the interfaces that you are going to need? And that's it. So without any wait, let's get started and let me show you how. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to need here is a product search functionality. Because if you're going to import the products, we obviously need an interface we can initiate this import process. And this import process could be of anything. But search query, I think, is the minimum because in your external API, maybe you do not want to import all of the products or just few products. So if that is the case, then obviously we're going to need a product search functionality. But if you want to import all the products regardless of anything, then I think this interface is not required. This interface will be required if you want to search any custom products. There are in your external API, there are millions of products and you just want to import few of them or like not all of them, then this functionality comes in handy. Now to implement this in this functionality, we're going to need an interface where we can enter our search query. This search query basically goes to our custom API and the API responds with the product results and we fetch the result and display that in our table. That is the basic thing that we're going to need. So for example, if I am looking for shirt and I could just go men's shirt and I can select driving impressions and select 48 results per page and click on search products. This is going to hit on the external API with my search query with my parameters, and then this is going to show me all the products that there are available, all the shirts that are available with the title shirts in it. And this could also mean that we can also enter product number. In the search query, we can enter color, we can enter the price maybe in another argument. So that totally depends on what are your filters that you're going to import your product that you're going to need while in your search query. The search query can have more arguments and more filters as you like. So these are shown in the display page, and if we have more, we have total 249 results here. We can go to the next page and this is going to show the next page with all around 48 results per pages. So we can set number of pages, we can set other arguments based on what your external API supports. So the interface is defined by what the external API has in their indexes, in their keys. So the response basically identifies what are the interface that you're going to need, you're going to build. If you have an interface but the external API does not support any such kind, then obviously your interface will not be useful. So it is dependent mostly on the external API. After the search functionality, we are going to need the import functionality, importing the products, where we will select the products and import them based on the results that we have got. So it could be a single import or multiple import. So like this, if we just click on any of it, we can select them and we can instantly import all of them. So if we click, I'm going to just import this single piece as of right now. Just click on import the one that is selected. Now, the import procedure that is going to take a little bit of time as we are importing. So how are we going to process that? So let me show you in the next slide. As you can see, we can have an initial and batch import process, which is scheduled API integration. The WP-Cron triggers schedule a job that automates the batch import process into WooCommerce. Key action includes the import new product, update existing product, set initial stock, sync category, images, and prices. So this import process should also include to update the existing products. And this has to be done in batch. It cannot be completed in one single execution because this is going to overload the server and this is going to crash your server if it is not done properly in batch processes. So you could have selected 20 products, but it is not just about the 20 products that we're going to import. As you can see, it has imported the product. Let me show you a product which is being imported here. And if I click on this, as you can see, it has selected the SKU and everything. This is the variable data, the featured image, product title, product description, and all the attributes, the color, and all the sizes. And this has also include all the variations. So it has included 12 variations with 12 variation regular prices, stock, and quantity. Now each variation has its own image. As you can see right now, we do not have the image over here because that is sent in the batch process. This is what I'm talking about, initializing a batch processing in WP-Cron. You cannot import all the product detail, every single detail in a single execution. You have to batch things and send it to WP-Cron. So for example, one product contains 12 variations, and then there is another product. This product contains 35 variations. So these are 35 executions or uploading the images. That is why it is done in batch. It is not just a single product. This is basically 35 different products. It has 35 variations. So that is why importing a single product without using a batch processing or WP-Cron, that is going to be a disaster. So most important thing is that you have to initiate the import in batches and schedule every single detail, because for each variation we have the title, we have attributes, we have regular prices, stock quantity, and the featured image and SKU, and all these details has to be added one by one. So we set some batch number for each execution. For example, we can set we want to import 2 variations in each execution. So each variation will be added after a minute. So each product may take up to 5 to 10 minutes to basically completely import on the server. Now when I say 2, I said it if the server is very low or it is on a shared hosting and other stuff. But if you have a dedicated server, if you think you have a good RAM, you have a good hard disk, SSD is nice, your processor is good, then obviously you can increase the batch number based on what your memory size is. Okay. Now the next thing is, when I said we are also going to update the existing product. So if the product is already there, we obviously need to compare the differences. We fetch the information from the external API and put that in our database and compare it first. If it already exists, then we should check if there is anything new that this field needs to be updated, then obviously we have to update it. So importing a new product or updating an existing product, that basically executes same number of memory, that requires same number of memory. So again, this has to be again done in batch, and in our system we have to integrate that if the product is an import process, If the product already exists, we have to process the update functionality. But if it is new, we have to execute the import new functionality. So we obviously need two processes here. One is to update, one is to create. And then obviously sync category, images, and prices. We are also fetching categories for each product, like we have here, men's and t-shirts. We're also fetching those. We're also implementing that. Let's move to the new one. Now comes the daily sync. Since we have the product information, we have everything that we need, the product details, all the variation. The next thing is the sync process. Now this sync basically include a one-way sync. One-way sync is where you are just going to update the stocks, you're going to update the inventory in your WooCommerce store. So the daily cron could be done using WP-Cron or your custom cron job, and it checks on every day and goes to the custom API. The custom API get you the latest inventory and then you send it to WooCommerce store. A daily cron job run automatically retrieve the latest inventory from the custom API, ensuring WooCommerce stock quantities are always current. So on daily basis, we're going to check if the stock quantity remains the same. The external API has the stock quantity because they are our vendor, they are our supplier. It is in their warehouses. It is not in our WooCommerce system. So we have to update our system to make sure we have the right quantity. If it is not available, we're going to set it to 0, and then this variation will no longer be available. Now this process can be done on daily basis, and obviously if you understand this, each product, for example, contains 35 variations. So we are actually, for one product in here, we are actually updating the stock of 35 products. And if you have like 100 products, so imagine if you have 27 products, so 27 multiplied by 35 or 30 or 18 or maybe different kind of variations, but this is the number of execution that is going to be executed. Now the daily sync process time, the cron schedule, has to be done on a very specific time when your server has a low traffic or it is not a peak time. This should be done on off peak time, but if your database server is different, then the load won't be as much, but I would still suggest that you do that in the off peak time. This is very important when doing a development. So the cron has to set on the time when there is zero or very lowest traffic in 24 hours on your server, and only then this sync should be done so that the inventory is updated and there is no disturbance in your live traffic in your server, and your server stays healthy and it gives you 100% or 99% of uptime, because we do not want to crash our server with our traffic and our database update. So this is how the daily sync should be processed. The other thing is we obviously need to either initiate or force a daily sync of inventory. For example, if we have the inventory sync menu, that would be a very good thing for us to do. Like this could tell us when was the last sync and the next scheduled sync, and product that are going to need syncing and the total product that were synced already. So if you see that you want your inventory to be synced as of right now because you think that this is the time where we want to sync things, you can click on force sync now. This will basically override your syncing schedule time, and obviously this is something that you can do in the midnight where the traffic is low, or it is a peak off peak time. You can click on force sync now. This will basically set the schedule for daily time, and this will basically do the next cron job on the same time in the next day. So I think this interface comes handy. And also for each product, we're going to sync the inventory individually. How? We can either enter a product ID here, or we can just go to this product and add a tiny link over here, which is called sync inventory. And if you click on this single link, it should sync a single product variation. So if we have like 18 variations in this one, this is going to execute on 18 variations and update the stock quantity from the external API. So this is something to basically troubleshoot thing. This should not be the regular thing. This should be a thing where you can troubleshoot the cron jobs or anything like that. For example, your external API has updated some very important products and you want to override the system. So this interface comes really handy, and I think everyone should, when doing inventory sync, should have this link where you click on it and it sends it basically sync the inventory. It says product sync successfully. And then also I have also added update info. This is also a very important button, which means if you have a missing information, let me check. I guess I might have missing information here because I wasn't getting the variation images. Yeah, I don't have the variation images over here. So I think that is going into the WP-Cron schedule. That's right, it is delayed. Anyways, this single update info will basically make sure that all the information of this product is updated right now, because I want all the information right now on this product, to make sure that if there is a problem with the system or problem with the external API, that has to be resolved, because this product information is missing. It is not as per we see in our external system, in our external shop, in our ERP, in our other operating systems. So this comes handy here as well, which includes it should include all the variation, all the images, and every single detail. So this is what daily sync means, and this is what has to be done in here. Now there's another part which is a bit technical, but this has to be understand not as a developer but as a it is just a common sense, I would say, that we have to use it as a businessman, as a business owner. So this point is inventory sync on each order. Now, when a customer places an order in WooCommerce, it triggers an action that ensures real-time stock detection, prevention of overselling, accurate data synchronization across systems, automatic inventory update after each sale. Ensuring accurate inventory management, the process is crucial for maintaining balance, updates inventory level immediately, reduce the risk of stockouts or overcommitting, enhance customer satisfaction, and displaying accurate stock availability, support backend accuracy for business operations. Now, WooCommerce already has the stock management system. So for example, if you are in this product, we are going to edit this and we go to the product data and we go to variation, click on this, and here is the link where we say manage stock. Enable this option to enable stock management at variation level. So if someone purchased this variation, WooCommerce is automatically going to reduce the stock quantity as to the number of product the customer has purchased. Now, this is something that you should consider after knowing your external system. So if you want that someone has purchased your product from your WooCommerce store and the quantity is reduced, and this has also placed order in an external API system, and the external API system has also reduced the quantity, this means the sync is already happening if it is managing stock. But if not, if you uncheck this one, you're not going to manage the stock, which means the stock that is available in here is not going to be reduced. The number of stock that is available, it is not going to be reduced. So if it is not going to reduce, this is going to be updated in the daily sync process, which means if you forward the order to your external API, if your external system, and you have reduced the stock quantity over there, and then the next daily sync, the stock quantity on your site is also going to reduce eventually. So if you think that you can wait 1 day for your stock to be managed, for your stock to be updated, then obviously you do not need to click manage stock here. But if you think that the stock inventory thing is really important and very time critical, and that has to be done within 24 hours because you are getting so many orders, then you have to click on the manage stock here, so that there are no orders where there is no stock available. So WooCommerce is also counting the stock, and your external API system is also counting the stock, and the both are counting. They will be automatically synced. So there is nothing that you need to do. The daily sync will obviously refetches the new stock inventory and will be the same as it is in WooCommerce and your external system. So this is something that you have to consider, knowing what your external system is. This is what stock management is. I hope I was clear on this point. Well, if there is any question, you can obviously ask me in the comment section, and I'm going to guide you in that as well. So the complete sync overflow is like initial import using the cron job, and then daily inventory sync on order, continuous synchronization, and we stay always up to date. So if we see this complete flow diagram, this is going to tell you how the sync process and everything is going on. So technically we are connecting external system to our WooCommerce store, and also WooCommerce store to external system. But just for the products, we do not communicate, we do not send data to our external system. We do not sync the external system, because that is a two-way sync. Two-way sync might be required when we are working on the order management system. This is just for the product. So this is just a one-way sync from external to our WooCommerce store. So the external system basically integration integrates to our WooCommerce using a custom plugin, which is what you are going to build, which is the integration layer that you are going to build between the external system and the WooCommerce store. So we have this API client, data mapping, sync logic, logs, and error handling. These are the most basic things that we're going to need in our integration. And the things that we're going to need for our integration would be the custom API access of your external API system, and the API credentials could be keys or the tokens that we're going to need. Then a cron job. A cron job could be WP-Cron or a server cron. Server cron, if you have cPanel or other stuff, you can easily set up a cron, or you can use any external service to set up a server cron. If not, then the WP-Cron is there, and WP-Cron has to be scheduled on a very specific time, which is an off-peak time. That has to be done very carefully, because we don't want our WordPress traffic to be affected by this cron tabs. And then product mapping, SKU ID, and SKU ID is also very important for each variation. We have to have a correct SKU, because in our external API system, when we are going to place orders, when we're going to work on the order management system, the SKU will come handy, and it will be easy for us to track the orders and sync them as well. And then there is the inventory endpoint, where you can obviously, if your external API system has a specific endpoint where we can fetch the stock based on SKU or product IDs, that would come really handy. But if, for example, the product IDs are different as we are creating the products in our WooCommerce, then obviously we're going to need to save that specific ASI number in the product meta. For example, in our external system right now, the ASI number is different and the product ID is different, which is 8300, and in this case this is 1324, and this is 26870. So let's take the ASI product ID. This ID and this ID is different, and we have mapped it because we have saved this product data as a product meta in our WooCommerce product. So this is the mapping that we are talking about, the product mapping with SKU or ID. And this is how we can basically fetch the inventory. And then obviously WooCommerce API access, where we can we use it to import the products. But this part is not necessary, because if we are in a plugin, we do not maybe need a WooCommerce API access here right now, but we do need WooCommerce functionality to fetch, import the products, and update or sync anything like that. So WooCommerce API access will come handy when we are working on the two-way syncing, but right now it was a one-way syncing for the product. So we do not need WooCommerce API access for this one, right? And that is it for me as of right now. And if you need any further integrations with WooCommerce, with your WordPress, or any web related issues, you can obviously reach to me on my website, which is alisalim252.com, and we can have a 30-minute meeting where we can discuss your requirements. And if you have any question regarding this video, you can obviously post a comment and I will try to get back to you.